Welcome to r/Bestof Redditor Updates, where a 15-year-old girl completely destroys her family. Our next Reddit post comes from r/Am I the Butthole? Am I the butthole for refusing to spend time with my stepsister? I'm a 15-year-old girl. My parents divorced a year ago because my father cheated. He married the affair girlfriend instantly. I think he's a complete jerk, and I told the judge that I want to live with my mom. So I do, but they still said I had to go to my father's every other weekend. I don't want to see him, so I refused to go at first, but it was stressing my mom out with all the court stuff. I agreed to go as long as his wife is totally hands-off, and I can stay in my room and not be bothered except for one family activity of their choice. So that's where we are. Every other weekend, my dad picks me up, talks at me in the car because I won't talk to him. We go to family therapy where everyone but me talks. I stay in my room until sometime Saturday when I go out with them and do something fun, and then mostly stay in my room until my mom picks me up on Sunday. I have plenty of stuff to keep me busy, so I'm fine, but everyone else not so much. The affair wife has 2 kids, a 12-year-old girl and a 9-year-old boy. Normally, they would go to their dads on my weekends, so I never saw them, but the schedule changed, so now they're there when I am. The 9-year-old boy is fine. He'll ask to borrow a video game now and then, but he's polite about it and he gives them back, so sure. The 12-year-old girl will not leave me alone. Anytime I don't literally have my door locked, she's barging in trying to talk to me or wanting to do something. I tried to tell her to leave me alone in a nice way, but last time I just up and told her that I never want to talk to her and I'm going to ignore her from now on. She cried about it, the affair wife got mad, and my father said that she's having a hard time with the divorce too, and I shouldn't take it out on her. I told him that he could stop forcing me to visit, and problem solved. Everyone's mad. My mom says that she understands, but the 12-year-old is probably just looking for someone not her parents to talk to. I just don't see why it has to be me. Then OP adds in an edit. Okay, so after reading all the comments, here's what I'm gonna do. A lot of people have suggested letting them have it in therapy. So tomorrow, I'm turning into an unskippable cutscene in therapy. They want me to talk, so I've got a whole filibuster planned if I need it, and no one else is getting a word in edgewise. My father will be addressed as cheater, and the affair wife will be addressed as adulteress from now on. If that doesn't get me dropped back off at my mom's house, then the next time those 2 kids are over, I'm telling them everything about the cheating. I'm rewriting the lyrics to a really catchy song to be about my cheating father so I can sing it to him and get it stuck in his head if need be. Guess we'll see if that works better than ignoring them. Then OP posted another update. It's been an intense weekend, y'all. I dropped all the nukes in therapy. My father nearly got kicked out of the session. He was big mad, but he wouldn't let me go home. As soon as the kids got to the house, I caught the 12-year-old and apologized for snapping at her, and I told her that I had just been on edge since her mom and my dad cheated, and that's why everyone broke up. She didn't know, so she started crying and yelled at her mom, and all hell broke loose. Eventually, my mom came to get me. The cops got involved, and the affair wife said that she would divorce my father if he brought me back into their house. So I guess for right now, I get to stay at my mom's. I guess what happens next depends on what the court says, but I had to go talk to some people yesterday about what happened, plus I was able to record some of it. So I don't know, I hope it's enough for me to be free. Yo, OP's dad tried to play games with OP, but the game that OP's dad wanted to play was checkers, and OP was playing chess. Our next Reddit post comes from r/Am I the Butthole? Am I the butthole for lying to my partner about having kids and laughing about it? So I'm a 34-year-old woman, and I recently became engaged to my partner, a 35-year-old man. We met on a dating app 3 years ago and hit it off from the start. 5 years ago, I got my fallopian tubes removed. I've known since I was 15 years old that I don't want to give birth, and I have never changed my mind. I've always said that if a child came into my life, I'd love it, but I'm not actively seeking that out. On my dating profile, it explicitly states child-free and infertile verbatim. At the beginning of our relationship, my now fiancé regularly referenced other things that I put in my profile. So I assumed that he'd read that part, and kids never really came up in other conversations. Well, last night, he mentioned that I should consider stopping my birth control, since now that we're engaged, and given our ages, we should start trying for kids. I honestly thought that he was joking, and I laughed. He got frustrated and asked me why I thought that it was funny. I reminded him that the second line of my dating profile said that I was infertile. He was shocked and called me a liar. I happen to remember that I sent a screenshot of my dating profile to one of my friends for review around that time, so I pulled up the old conversation with her to show him the photo, the date, and the time. And indeed, the screenshot proves that I said that I was child-free. I told him I had my tubes taken out, so there was no chance of me getting pregnant without outside help. In vitro fertilization is technically still an option, but I don't want to put my body through that. He stormed out, and his mom called me crying that I've ruined his life. His sister sent me a long message about how getting my tubes removed should be illegal and how I'm a monster for stringing my fiance along. To be honest, his family never really liked me because they think that I'm beneath him. A cousin told me that it's because I'm fat and a career woman in a male-dominated field. Plus, we share the household labor 50-50 and I make more money than he does. Because of this, I don't take what they say too seriously, but I'm starting to feel bad. His family believes that I stole years of his life, and I ruined future chances of being a father by lying about my fertility status. He asked for space when he stormed out, so I haven't reached out to him. I do love him, but I'm starting to have serious second thoughts given his family's reaction. I realize now that we should have talked about this before, but am I the butthole for how I handled the situation? Alright, I just want to share one thought before I forget the point. He's getting mad at you for not bringing this up in the past when he didn't bring this up in the past either. Even though technically you did bring it up in the past in your dating profile. But how are you going to live with someone for 3 years and never once have the conversation, oh, you think you want to have kids one day? I certainly do. That's on you for not having that conversation, but it's not on him? This is a stupid double standard. Then, one day later, OP posted an update. So my fiance came home this morning and I asked him if he wanted to talk. He said there was nothing left to talk about. I asked him if he wanted the ring back and he got angry. I've never seen him like this before, and I tried to speak calmly to him, but he was just yelling about how I was giving up and wouldn't even talk to him. I reminded him that I asked him if he wanted to talk, and he said no, to which he responded that he didn't think I'd go all crazy over a disagreement. This was a huge wake-up call for me. I asked him why he never brought up kids before, and he said because he knew that I would get all weird about it. I tried to get him to clarify, but he just kept saying that he couldn't talk to me when I was like this. I swear I never raised my voice, and I tried to speak calmly the entire time. I told him I can't have kids, nor do I want any. I don't want to give birth. This seems like a deal breaker for him and his family. He said that his family has nothing to do with this, so I asked him, then why did you tell them? He said because he was hoping they would talk some sense into me. I told him I was ending the relationship and staying with my dad for the time being. This did not go over well. I'm still kind of shaking. As I was leaving, I asked him how long he's wanted kids, and he admitted that he never thought about it, but he knew that I didn't want any. But now that we're engaged, it wasn't just about me, and he has a say in children. I told him I physically can't get pregnant without in vitro fertilization, and I asked him how he expected that to work. He responded that I don't know what I'm talking about. I left after that because I just don't have the energy to try to convince him, and I don't want to further agitate him. When I told my dad everything, he was furious. Apparently, when my fiance spoke to my dad about proposing, my dad asked my fiance if he was okay never having kids because I'd had my tubes removed. My fiance told my dad that it would always be my decision. I'm thankful this happened before we started any of the wedding planning, but it feels like I swallowed a boulder. I know that I need to be more adamant in the future about my stance on kids, and I promise that I'll have these discussions with future partners openly and from the start. I blocked his family from messaging me after they added me to a group message and started throwing Bible verses at me, saying that I'm a defective woman for not wanting kids. I don't have the energy right now to be petty, so I just blocked them. My dad is going to help me move my stuff over the next couple of days. I need to talk to the landlord and figure out the lease. I'm financially stable enough to pay most of the fees, I think, but I doubt that my now ex-fiancé can afford the rent on his own. The only text that I received from him just said, "You'll regret this." I don't believe he meant that as a threat, but I'm being cautious just in case. Okay, so the guy did know that you were infertile. Okay, I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of this guy and imagine what his game plan was. He's thinking, okay, I'm going to gaslight her into believing that she never told me, so she'll feel guilty because I want to manipulate her into having babies with me. But even if that's the case, how does he think that she's going to get pregnant? I guess IVF? Or is this guy dumb enough that he thinks he can bully her into regrowing her fallopian tubes, getting them put back in? That the doctor just has her fallopian tubes sitting in a jar in his office and she can walk in and be like, I'd like to have my fallopian tubes back, please. I don't really understand what this guy's game plan is. I think this guy is just a bona fide idiot. Like an actual 80 IQ, doofus, moron, imbecile idiot. Our next Reddit post comes from rSlash My father and mother divorced 3 years ago. I live with my mother. My father remarried a year ago and his wife has 2 kids, an 18-year-old girl and a 15-year-old boy. I'm an 18-year-old girl, and me and my dad got a matching tattoo 2 years ago. It was a simple outline tattoo of a photo of us. After my dad got married, things started to get a bit more distant between us because he started to spend more time with his new family. Besides that, I think that he doesn't want to see me around them. I don't know why. After all, I've never treated his wife or stepchildren bad. Yesterday, he refused to meet me on a weekend when we were supposed to spend time together, saying that he was unavailable, and he reposted a story of him hanging out with his new family. While looking at the photo, I saw that he got a new tattoo on his arm. It was an outline tattoo of a photo of him with his new family, just like the tattoo that he got with me. Now, I know that millions of people have these tattoos, and it's not my original design. Still, I'm disappointed that he got a tattoo with his new family in the same style as ours, because I always thought that tattoo was special between us. Now, I'm thinking of getting it covered or removed. I called my dad in the evening and asked him why he was hanging out with his family instead of meeting me. He said they planned it earlier, which doesn't make sense since it was agreed in court after the divorce that I could spend time with my dad every weekend. So planned it earlier is a pretty BS excuse. He also knows that I'm totally okay with spending time with his family. When I told him that, he said, "It's not that simple." I guess I'm too dumb to understand complicated things because he doesn't even try to explain it, lol. Then I asked him why he got his new tattoo in the same style as ours. He said that he didn't think that it would be a problem for me. I told him, "You broke something special between us. How can you not realize that?" I think I'm going to get my tattoo covered. You can do the same. Now he thinks that I'm overreacting and that I shouldn't be so selfish. My mom says that what my dad did wasn't such a bad thing. She thinks that we should sit down and talk, but I'm not sure. Am I the butthole? Then, one day later, OP posted an update. This morning, me and my dad had breakfast together and had a long talk. It turns out that the problem all this time was my stepsister. He told me that she was struggling with his marriage to her mom. The reason that he got the tattoo was to show her that he loves her just as much as he loves me. He also said that she didn't feel at ease around me, which I was really surprised about. We've never fought once, and we haven't even been together long enough to have any disagreements. That's why he didn't invite me that day. He wanted to be a good father figure in her life. Still, he said that I might get closer to my stepsister in time, who knows when. He says that I can get my tattoo covered if I want, but he would never do that for his. For him, the tattoo still has that same special meaning. Honestly, it would really make me feel like a butthole to get mine covered while he keeps his. I'm not sure what to do. Lastly, the hardest thing for me was finding out that they were moving to another state. His wife got a better paying job, and he's going to start a business with a friend there. He told me that he'll be very busy with all the moving, but he'll spend as much time as possible with me until he moves. He also promised to visit me often after the move, which I don't think he'll be able to keep up with. I guess he's really moving into a part of his life where I'm not in it, and there's not much that I can do about it. Then, 9 days later, OP posted another update. Today, my stepbrother replied to my story and we started talking. He told me a lot of things that I didn't know about. He said that it's true that his sister doesn't feel at ease around me, but she never said anything to my dad about not inviting me. In fact, it's not like she's so uncomfortable that she can't stand to be in the same place as me. It was my stepmother who asked my dad not to invite me that day. Also, she's the one who came up with the whole idea of a second tattoo. My stepbrother said that his mom doesn't like my mom at all. He's not sure if it's based on anything. When I asked my mom about it, she said that she never met that woman once. I think her dislike for me comes from her baseless hatred for my mom, and my dad played along with her. Also, my dad originally told me that they were moving in November, but my stepbrother told me that they're moving next week, and that was the plan all along. He told me he's sorry for what happened to me, and he only told me this because he wanted me to know the truth. He also asked me to not let his mom know about this conversation. My dad wasn't always like this. He was a good man. I mean, all these lives, cutting me out of his life, that's not like him. I don't understand why he turned into such a person, but I don't really want to talk to him to find out. He's moving away next week anyways. I told my mom about this, asked her to call my dad, and tell him that I would never see him again. My mother passed this information on to him without mentioning the conversation. I also blocked my dad from everywhere. Soon, I'll get the tattoo covered. Man, while reading this post, my first thought was that he's whipped by his new wife, and it turns out that's exactly the reason. Yet another story of a jealous wife and a husband who has no backbone. I will say it's commendable that this guy is trying to build a relationship with his new stepdaughter, but to do that at the expense of his relationship of his other daughter is disgusting. It's just so weird to me that you can be a parent to someone for 18 years, invest so much of your life into that person, and then just throw them away. That was r/Best of Redditor updates, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.